sitting right there in front of me, so the pressure is really on, especially after the bio that Ms. Charlotte just kind of gave, kind of built the expectation up. And as I'm walking in, people are like, oh, we're so glad that you're here. And I'm just like, oh my God, what did I have myself into? So now I have to try to figure out what message can I possibly give to all of you that embodies what your program is about. And before I get into my speech, I want to say being the first of anything is always a good thing. And being that this is the first class, y'all have set a precedent that others have to follow. And looking at the screen out front and some of the things that y'all are doing, y'all set the bar pretty high. So for every subsequent class that comes behind you, they have to live up to the expectation that y'all have set. So, let me get to the matter at hand. I have two pieces of paper, two sets of paper. One is a written, formalized speech that I can read to only. The second is pretty much an outline where I can just talk to you about certain things. And I always like to read the crowd to figure out exactly what I'm going to say, no matter what I'm going to say. So it's like, you know what, if they're coming in, they all wear shirt and ties, and they're all formalized and everything, I'm going to give them the written speech. So then you're not going to hear James' great jokes and answers. When I walked in and I saw the glasses of wine, the short glasses that didn't contain water, I knew which speech I was going to give. So before we get started, I want you to do something right now for me. I'm going to ask you a question. You don't have to take out pen and paper, and you won't be graded on this question. But what I want you to do right now is to think, close your eyes. Close your eyes. Take a second to think to yourself. What qualities do I have that makes me a great leader? Just take a second. What qualities do I have that make me a great leader? Okay. I'm not going to ask anybody to share. But I'm sure some of you thought about qualities that have been with you for your entire life. I also want you to start thinking about people that you know are great leaders. What are some of the qualities that they have? Take a second, think about that. Now that you have that picture in your mind, that's something that I really want to convey to you. All great leaders do the same thing. All organizations are structured to get the results that they get. And all effective organizations do the same things. I am not an Alabama fan, so don't throw anything at me. But you have to give respect to Nick Saban. Because it doesn't matter where he goes. He has certain traits and skills about himself that allows him to replicate success. Everybody can't say that. For you to go to one organization, build a national championship team, lead that organization, go to another, and do the same thing over and over again, speaks volumes about his leadership skills. Now, will he make everybody happy? Will everybody on his team be happy? No way. The point is, he provides a structure that allows everyone around him to be successful. Okay? So, let's look at it this way. Who we are as people makes us who we are as leaders. I don't want to pat myself on the back. I consider myself a pretty effective leader. I've been able to replicate success at several sites that I've been to. And a lot of that is based on what I went through as a kid. So you think back to your childhood when you were in kindergarten, you started developing leadership skills then. In middle school, in the cafeteria, the library, first girlfriend, whatever the case may be, all of your experiences have lent itself to you being the person that you are. So if you're ever in a leadership position, you can use those skills and apply it to your current setting. Now, when I talked to Ms. Charlotte and said, what is it that you really want me to address with a particular crowd? She said leadership qualities. And the first thing that came across my mind was, okay, the people in the program, I can see that. The owners of businesses who are in here, they'll understand. Say, what about everybody else? So what I say today, I want you to understand, it's applicable in every aspect of your life. So whether you're talking about your family structure, your business, your relationship with your kids, whatever the case may be, all of these rules and all of these processes are applicable in your life. Now, how many of you in here are married? Husbands, keep your hands up. I'm going to say this into the microphone, make sure you're clear. There are some things I'm going to say tonight that if you try in the wrong way, you will be in trouble. I want to be very clear about that. But back to who we are as people and what we've gone through shapes us. You know, they say that the troubles you go through, or the obstacles that you go through as a person or as a human being shapes who you are. And let me share with you some of the things that have happened to me that have shaped who I am today. No eyes, it is straight. 2nd grade, my dad takes me to work with him. And I decide, ooh, that cement truck looks like fun. And you know how the cement truck runs around to keep the cement running fresh and everything and so forth. And back then, it wasn't the automated wheel. It was a chain and sprocket. Just like on the bicycle. And as a curious 7-year-old, 8-year-old, whatever I was in 2nd grade, I decided to go and play with that chain. And I'm just a puller. And a puller. And a puller. On that last pull, I didn't let go of the time. So the sprocket grabs my knee and rotates my whole thing. Now, of course, my dad, being my dad, trying to stay as calm as he can be because I'm losing it. And he rushes me to the hospital. Everything turns out fine. I'm in the hospital for 2 weeks. I'm fine in there. But that allowed me to think about things in a certain way. One, everything that looks like it's fun is not fun. 2, proceed with caution. Think twice before you do something. I tell kids all the time when I see them in hallways and they've been in trouble, so forth and so on, I'm trying to give them words of encouragement. I'll say to them, do you think that what you did was wrong? Yes, sir. I said, in the future, can I give you some advice? Yep. If your mom will get mad, your dad get mad, or your principal will get mad, when you think about doing something, don't do it. So now, as an adult and as a leader, I think, is the boss going to get mad at me if I do this particular thing? Don't do it. As a 6th grader, me and my friend, true story, me and my friend are walking side by side, getting cold cups. I leave to go to play marbles. 6th graders play marbles. Back then, 6th graders played marbles because there was no video games really back then. And we really couldn't afford it, so we were shooting marbles. And as I walk away from him, I hear tires screeching. And a drunk driver kills my best friend right there. And I cry, and I stop, and I pick myself up, and I move on. The lesson I learned from that was, nobody's promised tomorrow. Work hard every day, be happy every day, and find ways to make sure that the people around you become the best that they can be because you try to be the best that you can be. So we go on through life with some more trying times. I mean, I walk into a hot fence. Yeah, how many of you ever walk into a hotline? The electric fence around, you know, cow pastures and stuff like that. I'm helping this is where I first realized my height is a problem. Because I watched my father. My mother is only like 4'11". My dad's only like 6 feet tall. So I'm watching him walk back and forth, and nothing's happening. He's picking up the hay, he's going for the truck. He's picking up the hay, he's putting it on the truck. I said, well, Dad, you know, I'm in this section, I'm going to help him over there. I walk. And as I'm stepping in there, I describe it this way. It felt like somebody took a ball-peen hammer, and I don't know why ball-peen hammer, but a ball-peen hammer and just hit me dead in the center of their head. Which taught me a lesson. Boy, being 6'8" is going to cause you problems the rest of your life. That has nothing to do with leadership, except for the fact that my boss didn't want to hire me because he figured he was going to have to change all the arches in the doorway. So I share all these stories with you that by the time I became a grown person, an adult, and on my own, life had taught me a lot of things. The fact that we grew up in a modest home allowed me to be able to understand people who weren't quite like me. Because in the process of me having to be able to find ways to do certain things, get money for food, be able to buy shoes, and so forth and so on, I had people along the way who helped me. So as an adult, when I see others struggling, especially people who work with me, my leadership skills say, don't judge, don't. You know, Stephen Covey says, first seek to understand, then to be understood. When I tell you, it has gotten me out of a lot of problems with my wife, because I take time to say, baby, please tell me, what do you think? How do you feel? Guys, 20 of things. Y'all better write this down. No, I'm serious. Y'all better find a pen. But that will get you a lot of, that carries a lot of weight, especially when you're working with people who want to follow school-wide goals or organizational goals and things like that. Because when they think that you truly want to understand their disposition, they will go to war for you. Whenever you're the head of anything, whether it's your family, your children, your organization, your bank, your school district, your hospital, people truly want to know that you have their back. And in that case, you build a family. Dr. Dupree said to me earlier how in certain parts of her job, it felt like family. The reasons why I was able to be successful in the schools that I worked in is the simple fact that we created a family. But just like family, we argued. We didn't always get along. We didn't always agree. But we respected each other enough to be able to say, although we have differences, we still have a goal that we have to achieve. And in those processes, we're able to do a lot of things that people said that could not be done with an at-risk population that many people would not have even attempted to work with. So you have to make sure that who you are as a person, one, figure out what those strengths are and figure out how they can become an asset in your new leadership role or in your leadership role. Number two, find your weaknesses and figure out how you limit their impact on what you do on a day-to-day basis. Because if you go around the world saying, oh my goodness, I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread. Oh my God, no other man can do this job. Is the day you start to lose the organization that you are over. You have to be able to entrust that you are not unlimited. There are others within your organization that has a lot of value that can bring value to what it is you're trying to accomplish. And the more you do that, the more you build capacity within your organization, and the more people want to rally around you. Okay? All right, next point. Because I'll talk for a minute. I became a principal, assistant principal. I graduated from college at 21, taught for 5 years. So by the age of 26, I was an administrator. There are a lot of obstacles that a 26-year-old administrator will face. Most of it was because half the teachers could have been my grandparents at the time. So from day one, I had to figure out what is it about me that will allow me to navigate through the complexities that this organization can bring. And when I was able to do that, I was able to be more successful. I say all that to build up to change. We're all in we're in an environment or a society where change is constant. And sometimes change is definitely welcome. Think about it. What if dentists still perform oral surgery the way they did 50 years ago? What if doctors still perform some of the things that they did 100 years ago? So there's a need for change. But change is not always welcome. You have to be able to prepare the people for who you work with. And say work with because you should never. There are times you are the boss, but there's times you are a team member. And once you understand that, you'll go a whole lot farther. But there's a time when you have to prepare your team members for the change that is about to come. And if you don't understand that change process, you will lose a lot. People will start going off in their own directions. You never want them to go off in their own directions. You want them to be able to say, this change is absolutely necessary, has been validated. My boss has come to me, asked my opinion. I've given them feedback. Now I see. If we don't get to that particular point, we actually can lose some of the people that we're working towards that change. So with that said, I want to read something to you. There's only two things I'm going to read to you. And I think this is one of them that's very critical. So just bear with me. All right. Michael Fulton is the guru of change and change processes. And if you ever get a chance to read his book, they're really not entertaining, but they really can give you insight about a lot of things. But this is what he says. Fulton states that systemic forces reinforce the status quo. In many situations, individuals can become very comfortable with the current state of affairs within an organization. Their comfort, remember, we're talking about houses too. Their comfort level may be based on personal perceptions, work habits, or the current performance of the organization. With this in mind, it requires a great deal of courage for leaders to introduce a new way of doing things. Strong leadership can bring a staff together in its effort towards change. As innovations and technology increases, so does the change associated with them. As a result, change seems to be a major component of any reform movement. Unfortunately, it is believed that society is being inundated with change. With a number of new initiatives being introduced to society, change is becoming a constant. It is with these reasons that many new initiatives may be viewed as negative, is a negative weight by many. Consequently, this negative perception towards the initiative can hold leaders and their staffs feeling overwhelmed. As efforts are channeled into implementation, the reasons for making a change in the first place fade quickly into the background. I'll read that one again. As efforts are channeled into implementation, the reasons for making a change in the first place fade quickly into the background. As a result, people who are affected by change often wonder what the change is for. If you're in an environment and you have a lot, especially in large organizations, if you get just a third of your people to say, why are we doing this in the first place? That can have a significant impact on what it is you're trying to accomplish with your organization. So keep that in mind. Organizational structure, and I'm wrapping up. Organizational structure really is very important. And for those of you who are familiar with professional learning communities, we use it a lot in education, but it actually started in the business world. Education is actually stolen. And it basically boils down to shared and supportive leadership, which means, again, I'm not the only one that can make decisions. If I have a line worker that is capable and competent and understands what happens on that line, I want to know what it is he has to offer to our organization. The second thing is shared vision, making sure that everyone within the organization understands what the overarching goals are for the organization, so everybody works toward those goals. Third is collective learning and application, which means we all going to get together and learn. The boss should always be the lead learner. Always. Next is shared personal practices, and this is where we go and observe others doing their job and give them feedback as a worker. Not always top down, but also from peer to peer. And finally, supportive conditions. If I want my workers to be productive, they need to be happy. So I need to give them the materials that they need in order for them to be successful. If that means I got to buy them donuts every Friday, I am buying donuts every Friday. The last thing that I want to read to you, and this is definitely the last part, I think this is the most valuable. Leadership is pretty much a common sense approach. There's no magical formula to this. You know, Ms. Charlotte said, talk about traits of being a character. All traits are, yeah, I'm strong, yeah, I'm flexible, I have understanding, I listen to others well, I have good communication skills. All those are fine. But if they're not used in the right context, you actually can regress as an organization. So you have to be able to understand those things, but it's really a common sense approach. And with that being said, I would like to read some. I wrote this actually a couple of years ago. And I think it's very appropriate for today. Okay? All right. Author Robert Fulghum wrote a book called All I Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten. How many of you ever heard that book before? It's basically a book saying that, play nice, warm cookies and milk actually are good, play well with others. It's very simple rules, but although they're very elementary, if you think about it in the context of who we are as adults, it actually can teach you some good lessons. This book talks about how you acquire the skills and lessons that teaches you about how to live, what to do, and how to be in life when you were in kindergarten. Unfortunately, it seems as if we are moving away from those earlier teachings. Society is in a bit of a conundrum. It seems as if we are enforcing negative values instead of building upon the struggles of those who came before us. I think it is time we reinforce some of these things we learned in kindergarten with additional guidelines that can help us stay focused. These guidelines are: resolve to be a master of change rather than a victim of change. 2, always accept responsibility for your actions. Remember, it's not what a person does that defines who you are, it's how they respond to the situation. 3, if someone stumbles while trying to better themselves, don't laugh or ridicule their efforts. Instead, encourage them to keep trying and find something positive to say to help them accomplish their goals. 4, understand that things are not always what they appear. Develop the ability to investigate and form your own opinions instead of listening to unfounded rhetoric, no matter how many times you hear it. 5, remember to respect your parents. Respect parents, parents, guardians, caregivers, although they may not be perfect, they have done everything necessary to ensure that you made it to this point in your life. Take pride in your job and all responsibilities that go along with it. It seems that too many individuals want all the glory without actually putting in the work that goes along with it. I love that. 7, it's okay to say thank you. Please, I appreciate you, I love you. All too often, we neglect to share these comments with individuals in our lives, especially our loved ones. 8, surround yourself with people who have positive attitudes. Remember what they say, attitudes are contagious. 9, make sure you continue to have fun on your journey through life. This allows you to fight off the evils in the world that presents itself in the form of jealousy, personal regret, and self-pity. 10, remember always find balance in your life. Know that your balance creates peace within yourself. 11, now know the difference between knowledge and wisdom. That's not the last one. I have one more, but let me see this one again. Know the difference between knowledge and wisdom. We all are smart. We all know a lot of stuff. The difference between knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge is what you know. Wisdom is knowing when to use it and how to use it. That comes with maturity and experience. Last one, 12. When discussing a difficult topic, first make sure that the receiver of the feedback is in a safe place. If I'm going to talk to an individual about something controversial and they're not in a safe place, they won't hear a word you're saying. So what I do is, if I have a teacher that I need to talk to or a principal I need to talk to, and there's something about improvement or something about getting better, and I can tell they're not quite in the best of moods, and I'll start the conversation. And the first thing will be is, are you comfortable? And always they say, oh yeah, I'm ready, come on. But then as the conversation goes along and I start to pick up, they're not comfortable, look, I can tell you're not in a safe place. Let's continue this conversation at another day. How about 2 days from now? You'll get better results that actually hear what it is that you have to say to them. And that's got to be one of the hardest tasks, is being able to say, this is not so severe that I have to address it right now. Unless the roof is on fire, let's come back tomorrow and discuss this matter. As a society, we need to go back to the basics. And we are looking at the leaders like